Today, we're getting into something that, on the surface, might seem really, really specific, almost trivial, maybe.
Yeah, it sounds small, doesn't it?
Totally. We're looking at a digital change in an online game, Star Citizen specifically. And we've got this audio clip, right, from a show called Galaxy Aberrations. And they get really passionate about, well, a 7.3% reduction in the glow radius of an in-game decoration.
Just 7.3%.
Exactly. And the clip calls it a disastrous and, frankly, unforgivable nerf. So I guess the big question for this deep dive is how? How does that spark such, intense feeling?
Right. And just to set the scene a bit more, the item is the Luminalia Garland. This change popped up in the public test universe, the PTU, for patch 4.2.7.
Okay.
And yeah, for some players hearing this description, it sounds like this tiny tweak somehow hits like the very heart of the game. So our mission really is to figure out why. What's behind that?
Okay, so let's unpack that. The Luminalia Garland, what is it about this thing? It sounds like it's, well, more than just some fancy lights.
That's exactly the point the Galaxy Aberrations host makes. They describe its glow not just as light, but as this warm, comforting sort of aura, a key part of the holiday decorations in the game.
Ah, okay. Like a symbol.
Precisely. They stress that even though it's just aesthetic, it gave players, quote, a subtle yet powerful boost to player morale. It really shows how these small visual things can become pretty potent symbols in a virtual world.
So how does that connect to, community? A small glow building community feels like a bit of a leap, maybe?
Well, the argument presented in the source is interesting. It's that this shared visual, this glow, it helped foster a sense of, shared celebration, community, especially maybe in the emptier, more isolated parts of the verse. That's Star Citizen's universe.
Right.
So these little details, they argue, they add up, they really contribute to the whole player experience, the emotional connection. It makes the digital world feel more, lived in, cherished even.
Okay, I get that. But then the patch comes along, 4.2.7, and bam, 7.3% less glow. My first reaction, and maybe yours too, listener, is, seriously, is this really a big deal? How does the source tackle that?
Oh, they absolutely see that coming. The host literally says something like, I know what you're thinking. It's just a decoration. Get over it.
Okay. Direct.
Very. But then they immediately push back saying, you'd be missing the point entirely. This isn't about pixels, friends. This is about the very soul of Star Citizen, which, highlights this key idea. In these online worlds, tiny details can carry huge symbolic weight. They become tied up with identity and maybe even trust in the developers.
Trust. So it's not just a number change. It feels like a broken promise, almost.
That's exactly how it's framed in the source.
Yeah.
The host asks this rhetorical question, something like, how can a new player, fresh from their agonizing bedlog experience, which is this famously annoying bug.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that one.
Right. How can they feel welcomed when their humble habitat's Luminalia Garland casts such a diminished glow? Its position is a betrayal of trust. Yeah, not just some minor adjustment.
Yeah, okay. And I assume they address the obvious counter-argument, the performance optimization reason. Developers often do that, right? Tweak visuals for better frame rates.
They do acknowledge that possibility, but the reaction in the clip is pretty fierce. Quote, I call it a betrayal of trust. The argument boils down to players feeling they pledge for a living, breathing universe, and that includes the smallest, most cherished details.
So it's less about game mechanics like weapon stats changing and more about the feel of the world.
Exactly. It's seen as a direct assault on our immersion, and there's this fear, this kind of slippery slope idea.
A slippery slope, meaning if they dim the garland today, what's next? Are my digital rubber duckies going to start bouncing tomorrow?
You joke, but that's almost exactly the question the host poses. They literally ask, will they reduce the bounce of the rubber duckies in our ship cockpits? Will the coffee machine sound effects become less satisfying?
No way.
Yeah, it sounds funny, but it perfectly captures that deeper player anxiety. Are all the little quirks, the specific, maybe non-essential things that give the game its character, are they going to be slowly sanded down? For some, the feeling is if we lose the glow, what truly is left to fight for? It gets quite existential. So if we're wrapping up this deep dive, the core insight really seems to be that this isn't just about graphic settings, is it?
Definitely not.
It's about how deeply players can connect emotionally to the tiniest details in a game world. Things that build community, lift spirits, make the immersion feel real. That Luminalia Garland glow, yeah, it was aesthetic, but the source framed it as a subtle yet powerful boost to player morale.
And reducing it, even slightly.
For the players highlighted in our source, it felt like a betrayal of trust. a direct assault on our immersion. And it sparked these wider fears about other small, loved details like, yes, even the rubber duckies.
Wow.
So while performance optimization might be the technical reason, the feeling it generated was like a challenge to the very essence of what makes the verse special for them.
Which brings us to the final thought for you, our listener. Think about this beyond just games for a second. In your own life, maybe online spaces you use, or even just, your room or your office. What are those seemingly tiny details, things that are maybe just aesthetic? What little things create that feeling of welcome for you, or comfort, or belonging? And then imagine, how would you feel if those small, cherished touches were just subtly changed, muted, maybe removed, even just by a little bit? Something to think about.